Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, back again with Death Note. Last time on Death Note, we had execution, that's right. Light and Misa still didn't have their memories of the Death Notes, and the final way of trying to prove, after 50 days of keeping them there, the final way of proving if Light was Kira or not was to fake the execution, basically. So they were being taken by Chief Yagami to be executed, and he sort of swerved off and was like, I'm going to kill you myself. I'm going to kill you and then kill myself. And he went in, pointed the gun right at Light's head, pulled the trigger. It was a blank. And so because of that, they figured, well, if Light was Kira, he would have saved himself. So he can't be Kira. Despite the fact that L does still have suspicions of Light being Kira, but at the same time, there is damning evidence that he's not. So, to remedy this, until they catch the real Kira, L and Light are going to be literally chained together for a while. We also got the fact that we're going to a new base. L has constructed a new base in the city, and we're going to be spending time there. And let's see. We also got the introduction of the Yotsuba Corporation. We're not sure what they do, other than they have a guy who was hired by Rem to be Kira, and I guess they control Kira as well. I don't know. It's very confusing. This is where I say no spoilers in the comments whatsoever. This is also where I say that if you want to watch my reaction to this episode of Death Note, you're going to have to get off of this YouTube video for a bit because it's not in this YouTube video. Basically what I mean is if you go down in the description or to the pinned comment on this video, there will be a link there that will take you to my my edited highlight reaction. Which is, the footage in the corner. It's all edited and nice and good. You can go and you can watch that, and when you're done with that, you can come back over here and watch the discussion. So, yeah, with that being said, let's get right into this episode of Death Note. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, alright, we got... I don't want to say an aftermath episode, but sort of a build-up episode. Like, all right, here we go. We're going to start building up to our next story arc, which definitely, we said this last episode, but this is definitely the beginning of a new story arc, the Yotsuba story arc. So I'm okay with that. I like that. So yeah. Okay. So, the first thing I wrote down was depression. L's depression at Light not actually being Kira. I mean, it makes sense, he spent all this time on Light as Kira, and then, starting to bring in Misa, and it's like, okay, it's so definite, but after everything that happened, Light having a few more cards than L, I think that's the problem, is that Light had a few more cards, because, he had more power of the Death Note, basically. So I understand why L would actually be depressed because of Light not being Kira. Even though he does still technically suspect Light as Kira. So, yeah. So that was interesting. And the kind of fight they had was also interesting with and especially because the two of them are still chained together, so they're flying all over the place. That was funny, watching them fight, and L constantly doing kicks, let's see. I wrote down third Kira. So technically, we have a third Kira to deal with. I'm pretty sure they realize that whoever this Kira is, it's got to be some sort of a third Kira, helping, either. I mean, I guess what they have right now is the fact that Kira, whoever Kira is either helping the Yotsuba Corporation or is using the Yotsuba Corporation. And we're not sure as to either, because apparently whoever Rem got to be the new Kira, like, I guess they're just not as good about hiding their tracks, or maybe that's the point, Maybe that's the plan. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's all part of the plan. Who knows? But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Them immediately seeing that, so many different companies' CEOs have been taken out by heart attacks, and then the only company that's been benefiting from all this is the Yotsuba Corporation. So, and then as we see later on, everyone that has died in these killings, it happens on the weekend, which is an interesting distinction. It's an interesting distinction that these killings happen on the weekend, and then, former chief, Mr. Yagami saying, I think I'm just going to call him the chief. The chief saying that, I keep formulating a thought and it keeps stopping. That's why I keep stuttering. The chief noticing that the killings have started to become a bit more finite. Like, okay, it takes place between Friday night and Saturday afternoon, which is interesting. And it's nice that, he figured that out. I like that he can do that he can figure that out. Because, yeah, I don't know, it's like, I'm just glad that he gets to do something. He hasn't done something in a while. Honestly, I guess that's kind of the big thing about this episode is the characters, who are our characters and can they do anything? Which kind of brings us to, so Kira, the third Kira, has bribed the politicians and the police, and so the police are going to back off from trying to capture Kira. So, basically, everyone on the task force now either has to quit being on the task force or give up being a police officer. Which is interesting, and, all of them being like, well, we can't... It's kind of hard, mainly, for Aizawa, who, can't afford to not have his salary, basically. So, it's all tough on Aizawa because he does still want to capture Kira, And we've had him for so long, too. But, the chief can, get by without being employed. Light can do it. Matsuda can, because technically he has another job as Misa's manager. He is so in love with Misa. It is insane. Of course, I mean, I get it. It would be like if I became... It'd be like if I became a manager for any of these, fictional characters I swoon over in these videos. So, he's just so... Matsuda's just so goofy, but I love him. So yeah. And then the reveal that this was all just a test. Fucking Watari, spilling the beans that this is all just kind of a test. L did actually set up a trust fund, basically, so that should anything happen, all of them can still, get a salary, basically. So, man, Watari not coming in like the snitch he is, apparently. Oh man, because I understand why L wouldn't do it. He wants to it is a test, and that is exactly what L does. But man, Aizawa just coming in and ruining that test pretty much. Granted, I mean, it was gonna happen the same way, basically. It was still going to happen, whether they revealed it or not. It's just Watsuda did it a little faster. So, maybe that had more of an impact on Aizawa because of this. So, yeah, and then Aizawa just being like, I hate you, and I hate the way you do things. And I love the whole thing of, and I hate that you always get the last line. You always get the last say in things. The last word. So, so that was kind of funny. I did like that too. So okay, so all of them, so Matsuda and the chief are still going to get their salary. I wonder if Light is being paid for all this. I mean, for God's sake, he's still a college student, Of course, is he still a college student? He's missed the past 50 days. Although, I mean, technically that doesn't equal out to every class because, classes happen on different days and stuff like that. But still, it's like, he has missed the past 50 days. Is he still in school, honestly? So that was interesting. But yeah, we got the departure of Aizawa. I understand it. I understand why he did it. It is kind of sad to see him go because we've had him so long. And then we had, what was it, Iburn or Ibird? I didn't quite catch their names fully. Maybe you guys can write it in the comments so that I can actually see what they're trying to say. So I'm gonna say it's Iburn and Weddy. Iburn and Weddy. So a con man and a master thief. That's interesting. They just sort of showed up and it's like, oh hey, they're here now. It's like, all right, but I understand why they would need them. A con man who's going to get in and gain the trust of the people of Yotsuba, and a thief who can break in, when they need that and stuff. So that makes sense. It'll be interesting to see. It'll definitely be interesting to see the two of them in action. Excuse me. And how they interact with the guys on the task force. And speaking of, sort of my last little note here is Matsuda. Man, Matsuda, he's slowly realizing how useless he is. Because, obviously Light is very useful. The chief is coming in. He's still, useful. He's noticing things that some of them aren't. We brought in Iburn and Weddy and stuff like that. And it's like, what exactly does Matsuda do? And it's like, well, Matsuda takes care of Misa, I guess. He's her manager, but it's like, what does Matsuda do? And he's like, is there anything I can do to be helpful? And, L is just like, yes, could you get me another coffee? And it's like, oh no. That is that nail in the coffin of you are useless. So, I don't know. I feel like something's going to happen with Matsuda. I don't know if we're going to keep him, I don't know if we're going to keep him. Maybe we're going to lose him, Aizawa. Maybe he'll die. I don't know. I hope not. I hope Matsuda finds something that he's useful for, Because I like him. He's a good kid, even if he's goofy as fuck and doesn't know when to shut the fuck up, So, I like Matsuda, so hopefully he finds something, basically. Oh, wait. And then, technically I didn't write it down, but the last thing that we saw there, that last scene with Aizawa, it was touching and sad at the same time. Him basically having to give up going after Kira in order to spend time with his family. He gets to spend time with his family. Isn't that great? Yeah. So, and that was nice to see, just to see his family, and he happened to be in the park, and then he just sort of, starts breaking down. That was rough, man. That was definitely rough. But yeah. So that is the end of Aizawa, and I guess we'll have to see what happens to Matsuda. It'll be interesting, though. It'll definitely be interesting. I guess maybe that could be our question going into next episode is Matsuda going to find something useful, basically? I guess that's kind of it, because, all of our other questions, I suppose, can kind of already be answered, or we can kind of already speculate, we could ask how are Iburn and Weddy going to be used, what are their interactions going to be with the rest of the task force. You could say stuff like that, but I'm thinking, I get this feeling that going into the next episode, our big question is what are we doing with Matsuda, basically. So, yeah. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Another great episode. Like always, still a bit of a toned down episode. Obviously, I mean, especially after execution, it kind of has to be bit of a toned down episode, but that's okay. We're just moving pieces along, So yeah. And we didn't see Rem at all. We haven't seen Ryuk. We haven't seen a Death Note in a while. It's been a little while since we've actually had the Death Note, but hopefully we get that back soon, and we get our Light Yagami back. So yeah, that is pretty much it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Death Note reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.